So I think yesterday we have discussed up to neglect of agriculture. Okay. So so far we are discussing critical appraisal of water reforms. That is economic reforms. Okay. So next one is low level of industrial growth. Okay. So what is low level? How come local level of industrial growth? Let us discuss. So industrial growth recorded a slowdown due to following reasons. One on the பார்த்தோம்னாக்க cheaper imported goods. Okay. And second one is so from which country we are getting cheaper goods? Anyone can you please give me an answer? The result they are given. Okay, China. Yes or no? From China, it is possible for us to buy very cheaper goods. We also seen Chinese mobile phones due to this make in India, and also that after this COVID-19, we stopped importing from China. But for those days, we used to import everything from China. It's very cheap and in the market. So that one, what affected our industrial growth, our make in India, and then it got affected. Next one is lack of infrastructure facilities. We don't have proper power supply those days. So we totally depend upon what it is coal, Neyveli, and charcoal power plant. That is first. So second thing is hydraulic power. Third one is windmill. But all these things didn't give adequate supply for the industries. Okay. So next one is what. Because of this poor power supply, and also the infrastructure facilities, we couldn't able to succeed, and that we can't able to expect that much growth in industries. The next one is non-tariff barriers by developed countries. Okay, so non-tariff barriers. What do you mean by non-tariff? We discussed yesterday tariff and non-tariff, bilateral, multilateral. There is a lot of restrictions to import and exports, right? So that restriction, which is to be called as non-tariff barriers, exports of all quota restrictions on exports of textile and clothing have been removed from India. But some developed countries like USA have not removed their quota restriction on import of textiles from India. Okay, so even though we are ready to supply, okay, even though we are ready to export, but in America they are not ready to import. So that's what called as non-tariff barriers. Okay, so no, non-tariff barriers in the sense there are some restrictions to import the commodities from other country. So these three reasons made our our industries to what low level growth in industry. Are you following me, guys? Can you able to hear me?
Yes, sir.
Okay, next one is ineffective disinvestment policy. What do you mean by disinvestment? Anyone? Uh, selling of public enterprises. Yes or no? So selling of public enterprise, which is to be called as what? Disinvestment. Yes or no? Now, very recently, Air India, right? Air India is about to sell. Then LIC is about to sell. Okay, so already we know that. Okay, Air India is it's a statutory corporation. LIC also a statutory corporation. Okay, do you know what is statutory corporation? I think you might be studying in grade 11. படிச்சீங்களா? Okay, fine. let us back to the point now here. The government has always fixed a target for disinvestment of public sector. For instance, 2015 to 14 to 15 target was 56,000 crore, whereas the achievement was about 34,500 crores. Okay, what happened? This what after this LPG, okay, after this LPG, our government sector and decided to sell, okay, public enterprises decided to sell their their own properties. Okay, so every year there will be a target. This year you need to grow, you need to sell this much crore, 60,000 crore, 60,000 crore, or 70,000 crore. That like that they will fix a target. But what happened here? During the year 14-15, they are fixed to 56,000 crore. They need to do disinvestment. Okay, 56,000 crore. Okay, they want to sell government property. Okay, that was the target. And they need to make disinvestment. They need to sell and they need to convert it into money. But they couldn't able to succeed that year. They was sold only um, 34,000 crore. However, according to some scholars, the disinvestment policy of government was not successful because the assets of public sector enterprise were undervalued and sold to private sector. Okay, what do you mean by undervalued? Compared to market value. Okay, for example, the market value of a company might be 75,000 crore. Okay, but what they will do, they will sell it for just 25,000 crore. Have you all heard this? About அடிமாடு விலைன்னு சொல்லுவாங்க பார்த்துருக்கீங்களா? ஏன்னா இவ்வளோ அடிமாட்டு விலை கேட்குறீங்க. When we are trying to sell something, they will ask a very cheap price from us. Do you have experienced that kind of thing in your life? Am I audible?
Yes, sir.
Do you have this kind of experience when we are trying to sell something, either bike or car? What they will do, they will ask for very cheaper price. Right. So that's what happened here. So undervalued. That's the first reason. And second reason is, moreover, such proceeds from disinvestment were used to compensate shortage of government revenues rather than using for development of public sector enterprises. Okay, okay. So even though the money what we got through disinvestment, we need to use it for the infrastructure development. Yeah. So we didn't do so. Instead of that, what we have done, just balance, just managed. Hinga shortage show. Okay, so that areas we what is the shortage area we just covered with this disinvestment money. So finally what happened? We couldn't able to develop the infrastructure. So next fifth one is what? Ineffective tax policy. Now we are discussing about tax reforms. So critical appraisal of tax reforms. Okay, that's what we are about to discuss. So tax reduction is the reform period was done to generate larger revenue to curb tax evasion, but it did not result in tax revenue for the government. Okay, so we thought if we decrease the tax. Okay, so we thought if we decrease the tax, what will happen? Peoples will, every citizen will pay their taxes. நம்ம நினைச்சோம் it will attract foreign investment நினைச்சோம், but we couldn't. Okay, most of the people they didn't pay tax. So I think in a capital budget we have discussed tax revenue and non-tax revenue, right? Do you remember? So tax revenue, through tax our government also getting income. So what happened here? The tariff reduction decreased the scope of raising revenue through custom duties. Okay, so we thought when we reduce the tax, there will be more what income. But it further decreases the custom duties. Then the tax intensive provided to foreign investor to attract foreign investment further reduce the scope of raising tax revenue. Okay, so we have reduced to further some more taxes for FTA, foreign direct investment, to attract them. Okay, so in India, how in Oman and Saudi Arabia there is no tax. Okay, so in Saudi Arabia so far we need not to pay any tax to the government. Okay, like that we attracted foreigners to invest in our country, but we couldn't achieve that. Okay, because of what people people they are not ready to invest. Next one is spirit of consumerism. Okay, the new policy has been encouraging a dangerous trend of consumerism, encouraging the production of luxuries and items of superior consumption. Okay, okay. What happened? What is consumerism? Spread of consumerism means the people started by producing. Okay, the new policy has been encouraged a dangerous trend of consumerism by encouraging the production of luxuries and items of superior customers. So what happened slowly in India? They started manufacturing the luxury items. Okay, so this thing also why? Because in India the maximum number of people they lives in poverty, and we can't say there are so the number of rich peoples are high in India, but they are very less. But what happened? The industries they started manufacturing goods and commodities to attract the richest people compared to moderate people. So that one also one thing that critical appraisal of economic reforms. Then unbalanced growth. What is unbalanced growth? So growth has been concentrated only in some selected areas in the service sector, such as telecommunication. Okay, in IT technology, finance, entertainment level, hospitality service. Okay, then real estate, trade. So only these areas we had a growth. Okay, we don't have much growth on where again Patamnagar not in agriculture and industry. Actually, agriculture and industry, agriculture and industry must be we must expect that as a good growth. Okay, what happened here in our country? Totally, what opposite became opposite. So, like service sectors, hospitality, real estate, then trade, all those things, and IT and telecommunication, these sectors, there was a growth. But what about industrial and agriculture? So, decline. So, these things, which we call it as what? Imbalanced growth in our country. So, with this, chapter 3 is done in Indian economic development. Any doubts, guys? Any doubts so far? Anyone? Any doubts? So these many people are there.
No,
No
sir.
one is opening your mouth. You can see. So no one is opening your mouth. What happened? Feeling sleepy.
No, sir.
No, sir.
No, sir.
No, sir.
Okay then. So we'll go for chapter 4. We'll discuss chapter 4. It's to poverty. So, what do you mean by poverty? That is chapter 4. Anyone? What is poverty?
Poor people, sir.
Poor. Then,
So people who do not get the basic facilities.
yeah,
They
people
do
they
not
are
have
not.
houses.
They don't have houses. Okay, I can see. So what you saw, guys? So there is not any other country. It is our country, India, in the year 2020 to 21. Okay. So many peoples they are was struggling a lot to get one meal and food, shelter, accommodation. Okay. So these the people those don't have these three things. We will call them as a poor people. Yes or no? The next, we are about to discuss poverty. Shall we discuss?
Yes,
Am I
sir.
audible?
Yes, sir.
Yeah, are you guys sleeping? What happened? What's wrong with you?
Non sleeping, sir.
Okay. So in previous chapter, what else? So up to now, what we have studied. So India during the our economy during the time of independence, on the eve of independence. After that, 1952, that is 1990. So the role of public sector enterprises to develop our economic situation. Then what happened? 1991, a new on July 11. Okay, a new economic reforms, a new economic policy came. So so far, whatever we have done to develop our nation, to develop our economy. So that's what the thing. Okay, up to that, so you need. Okay, so chapter one, two, three. These three things comes under a single unit. Okay, unit one. Got it? Clear? Now we are about to start unit two. Am I audible, guys? Can you able to hear me?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Okay, what is the name of the unit? What is unit two name? Anyone? Do you know what is the unit two name? Am I audible, guys?
Yes, sir.
Say something. Okay, fine. So shall we start?
Yes, sir.
Okay, fine. What about others? Start Lama.
Yes,
Yes, sir.
sir.
Yes, sir.
Okay, so poverty. So I think even in our area also we can able to find poor people, right? Okay, so what is poverty? So the 5 years plan always stress to uplift the poor people and achieve maximum standard of living. So 5 years plan. So every 5 years plan it will focus to only the poor people. However, poverty is still one of the most serious problems from which the country is suffering. Poverty is a challenge, or not only for India but for entire world. As more than one fifth of the world poor, that is to 270 million people, around 270 million people, they are in poverty. So live in India alone are unable to meet even their basic needs. Okay. So what is their basic needs? They need water, food. Okay, they need accommodation. Okay, they need food, shelter, and proper dress. So okay, so this for this itself they are struggling. So what is the meaning of poverty? Poverty is a peculiar problem. Okay, so from which various countries of the world have suffering. There cannot be a common definition of poverty which can be broadly accepted everywhere. Broadly, it can be said poverty refers to such a state which an individual is unable to fulfill even the basic needs. What are the basic needs we have discussed in Maslow hierarchy need theory? Do you remember? In Maslow hierarchy need theory, business studies, we have discussed, right? Basic,
Yes.
there, security,
Yes.
social, self-esteem, self-actualization. Yes or no? So, what is the
Yes.
basic needs we have studied in Maslow's need theory?
Food,
Food,
clothes,
uh,
shelter.
yes, food, shelter, accommodation, and air. All those things we have discussed as a basic needs for human being to live in the world. Okay, the people, those who can't able to meet even those three, the people call them as a poor people. The minimum requirement include food, clothing, housing, education facilities. In a country where a big mass of population is deprived of even minimum amenities of life for a very long period, then such a country offers from vicious circle of poverty. Okay, so what happened? At least we need these three things: food, shelter, accommodation, and proper facilities. Okay, for proper education facilities. So have you all heard about that in for the government schools? They are providing what Sattanavu scheme, right? So there are some children they totally depend upon that food alone. So I heard my ears. Okay, my wife went to that. Nearby, we have one school. As a B.Ed program, she went to this a training session to a government school. So that she saw that most of the children, what they will do, they don't have morning food because it is not affordable for them. Then afternoon in school only they will have lunch, and they will come with a very big tiffin carrier. Okay, so what they will do for night also they will whatever the food remains in the Sattuna work and the day on the other remain another, they will take rest of the food for their night dinner also. Okay, so this is what happening in government schools. That's why even lockdown, government said, "Ayo, so most of the students they depends upon this scheme, but we unable to meet their basic needs. Even then, they started giving money. I think financial support to those people. Fine. So who are poor? So there are different types of homes, right? Yes or no? You can see the poor எங்க இருப்பாங்க. They will always live in kucha house. Okay, there are types of house. I think you might be studied in your grade 5 or 4 types of houses, right? So they live in a very hut, a small huts. Okay. Oh, poverty is a great curse of on humanity. A poor person lives a spiritual life as he is unable to enjoy the barest necessity of lives, which makes him morally degraded. He cannot conduct himself as a human being. The treatment that he gets from society demoralizes him. Poverty is a harsh reality for a large section of Indian population. Poverty in India has been studied from 2 points, urban and rural. Okay, so we know very well how we will treat how poor peoples are treated in our country, right? Sometimes they will harass them. Okay, harass another. What do you mean by harass? Huh? Guys, are you all there?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.